I'm not there yet only exists in your mind. Like, everyone has a start.
So the message there really is like, don't burn your bridges, right? Because you could have been like, well, screw you, this is messed up, and burn that bridge. But because you didn't, and you kind of took the high road, it became an opportunity down the road.
I sort of had it in my mind. I had the idea, and then I started to take action against that idea. And whatever the idea is, just write down three to four things that could potentially move the idea forward and take action against those 3 to 4 things.
Yeah, it's like you're worrying about all this stuff that doesn't exist when you just need to take that first action and then start worrying about that stuff.
Everybody I'm going to get an LLC, or I'm going to form the corporation, right? It's like, well, how about you get a customer before you form the corporation? Like, you're going to spend a couple $1,000s in paperwork. Like, why don't you have somebody, like, go out and find somebody who will say yes.
Are you ready to feel like it's Friday every day? I'm Mark Labriola II, and this is The Friday Habit. We interview experts to learn how to bring excitement, possibility, and sweet, sweet relief into every single day, no matter what day it is. If you're a small business owner, entrepreneur, or agency leader, get ready to grow your business, lead with purpose, and build a life you love. Welcome to The Friday Habit. That's right. Welcome to another Friday Habit. I'm your host, Mark Labriola II, and today we got Jay Sapovits with us. He's a serial entrepreneur who knows how to turn setbacks into springboards, from pivoting a failed fitness brand into inked a $5 million direct-to-customer swag empire to negotiating groundbreaking deals across industries. Jay has the lessons every entrepreneur needs on resilience, reinvention, and growth. So, Jay, welcome to The Friday Habit.
Hey, Mark, I appreciate you having me on. What makes someone the second and not junior?
Well, what it is technically in the lineage, they are the same line, right? So you have the father and then the son right under. But there's an option for those of us whose mothers didn't want us being called junior. There's an option to be a second. So, it's the same thing as a junior, but instead of being Mark Jr., I'm Mark the second.
Got it. But so there's no difference, but
That's
for
right.
the nomenclature.
Exactly. It goes senior, junior, second, and then the third, the fourth, the fifth, whatever.
All right.
So if I was a junior, my son would have been the second, or my son would have been the third. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. And then that's not in the works, or that didn't happen, or?
No, I thought to myself, okay, like the best name my dad could come up with was like, let's just name him after myself, It's not like my great-grandfather's name was Mark Labriola, and it's like, let's keep the tradition. It's kind of a cop-out of like, hey, I don't know what else better to name him, so I'll just name him after me.
Yeah, so I actually know a family who alternates first and middle names by generation. So the grandfather's name is Peter Ray. The father's name is Ray Peter. The son's name is Peter Ray, and then his son will be named Ray Peter. Wow. Yeah, that's a real thing too.
Yeah, that's creative. I like that. You meet people that they name all their kids with an E or an S or whatever it might be. They find.
Generally, that type of stuff is reserved for people who have more money they know what to do with when they're born.
Yeah, exactly.
Normal people don't think of that stuff. Normal people just kind of go on with their life and like name their kid something. They don't have those.
They don't have the luxury to sit there and ponder it. No, should it be?
No. Mike Sapovits was. I mean, obviously, listen, in the Jewish faith, you can't name your kids after the living, but Mike was not interested in, I guess longstanding tradition. I mean, I'm named after my grandfather, so maybe there's that. Yeah. So, all right.
Now, is it Jay? Is it Jeremiah? Like, or is it just
Jacob?
Jay? Jacob. Okay. Yeah. But
super
Jacob.
Popular name now. But I'm not young, and when I was young, Jacob got you put in the corner and called the nerd. So
now it's like Jake is such a cool name,
Yeah. I think it was 16 Candles that did that. So that's what I attributed it to. I just missed it, but I missed it. Yeah, for sure. So, but good to be here. And yeah, it's nice to chat.
Well, listen, I mean, any chubby guy with white glasses is a win in my book.
So I went to I don't know what your white glasses story is, but I'm interested in it. My white glasses story, I always wore black glasses forever, right? Because that's just what I did. And I can't see without them. But my black glasses they were like not tight. And I had ordered these white glasses on a lark, figured, I'm ordering 2 or 3 pair just to have a backup set. And these were my backups. Never wore them, ever. So my son's he's on an exchange program in Stockholm, Sweden. And my wife says, I want to go over to Sweden. So I'm like, all right. My black glasses get a scratch across the front of them right before we leave, and it's untenable. If you wear glasses for real and need them, and you get a scratch on your glasses, that's auto replace.
Yeah.
So I had my white glasses with me, and I put them on and started joking and said they're my Nordic glasses, and I never took them off. I started to take Zoom phone calls. And it was like a point of differentiation in the Zoom phone 100%. Calls. And it's become this,
it's part of your brand now.
A little bit. I mean, I don't love to speak in the terms of brand. I mean, I'm more of like a human being than one of these guys. I'm definitely out creating more content and putting myself out there more. Mm-hmm. But like the concept of JSAP, I mean, I've always been a brand. I've always been me and authentic and genuine, sort of who I've tried to be in all of my dealings. I'm sure it's not been 100%, but who has? But I was on the street walking in New York City, guy I haven't seen in 12 years. Across the street goes, Jay Sapp, friend of mine from a long time ago. He's like, I love your content on LinkedIn. I see it all the time. I saw you across the street. It had to be the glasses. I'm not a recognizable guy like that. So that's my white glasses story. How about you?
Yeah, so my glasses story, I'll just start with this. So I've had bad vision my entire life. So I was like that 3rd grade kid with the Coke bottle glasses, just super nerdy, whatever. And then in like elementary school, I got this cool pair of wireframe glasses. They looked real cool, in the early 90s. And my dad said, don't wear these glasses outside the classroom. And I was like, yeah, but I want to be cool. Like when I'm playing tetherball on the playground, like the ladies need to know what's up. And so I went outside with these new wireframe glasses on, and I got beamed in the head with a tetherball, and it broke my glasses. And my dad was so upset with me that he bought me those big, remember Steve Urkel? From the, I think it was like the Family Matters. Yeah, Steve Urkel glasses. He got me a pair of those Steve Urkel glasses. And so I was like, I'm never wearing these glasses. And so probably my junior year, my vision started getting so bad, like in school, where I would sneak out my glasses and like put them on to like take notes, on the board and stuff like that. Otherwise, I'd just pretend to see people down the hallway. They'd be like, hey, Mark. And I'm like, I can't see you. You're a blob, but I'll just wave,
Yeah.
And so anyways, I got my first pair of contacts like my senior year of high school. And I was kind of the contacts guy from then on because I hated glasses because I was embarrassed about them. Well, fast forward, American Idol comes to town. And I was thinking to myself, I really need that differentiator, like what am I going to do? I'm going to go try out for American Idol here in town. And so I started wearing these like real, there were these Bolet, like sport, like kind of sunglasses, like real thick frames, but I just put regular glasses frames in them. And so I got those glasses, and that was kind of like my style, like this thick frame Bolet like thing. Well, I found a white pair of those. This probably was, gosh, I want to say maybe like 2014, maybe 2013. I started wearing the white ones. And as soon as, I always get the, oh, wow, like cool glasses because they're like these thick, sporty frames. But then when I went to the white glasses, it was like the next level of like people
Yeah.
being like, hey, nice glasses, you know, cool
Yeah.
glasses. And then it kind of became my thing. There was like one season I remember, like maybe in 2019 or 2020, I like went to I found this cool Mossett. It was like this place in Brooklyn that, you know, a glasses. I found these cool glasses. And I walked in somewhere and someone was like, hey, where's the white glasses? I was like,
Yeah.
all right, I'm going to be the white glasses guy.
I have yellow glasses. I've got purple glasses. I've got red glasses. I put them on. I just don't feel it's just not for me. I don't know. I like them.
Yeah, I know. Me too. Yeah, I got my backup pair here. You know, I got.
Yeah.
You know, I got these ones are Tom Fords, and yeah, that's kind of been my brand. Like I've been using the Tom Fords now, probably maybe five years or so.
All right, good stuff. Good stuff. I love it. But you didn't have me on to talk about glasses.
I love it though, because I honestly, like, you're the first guy that I've seen with the white glasses. There was this chef on the Food Network that wore some white glasses like years and years ago that people be like, oh, you're like that guy. But I always say this, like, it takes a certain type of personality to confidently wear the white glasses, like unabashedly. And I'm that guy.
Yeah, I feel the same. The other person, if you look him up, is named Jason Raposa, he's a CEO of a company called Good Feels. Actually, the products, Good Feels, Good Vibes. And it's a cannabis infusion product. And he's like a serial entrepreneur, former Brooklyn guy. You mentioned Brooklyn. And he wears white glasses. We're friends, and we'll constantly talk. And it's like, hey, kind of, you just don't see it much. But it's
that's
cool.
right. Well, Jay, you and I are friends now. All right, so you're. It's like this small group of people out there. You know, there's not many of us that wear the white glasses. But it's funny though, because I've been wearing them for so long. Like when I go to networking meetings, there was this one guy who tried to wear white glasses, and everyone's like, "Hey, dude." That's Mark's thing. Like, why are you trying to like wear white glasses?
That's funny.
I think there can only be one white glasses guy per city, you know?
I think it's funny. I guess I'm at the point in my, it's funny. You just to circle back to the entrepreneurship conversation and, start down that road. When you're young, you talked about brand earlier. You really think about all those things about your positioning and your brand. And it's not to say I don't do that in some ways now, because I clearly want to think about, I want people to like me. I want my company to grow, and I want sales, right? I mean, you do this so you get sales or make sales easier to get, become more of a human or more real out in the market. So this is not altruistic. It's certainly not for ego, but as you get older, at least for me, I've become less ego-filled, and it's like I'm not wearing these for attention per se. I'm not looking for attention. I'm not artificially out there. I'm like, this is who I am. I'm true to me.
Right.
I'm chasing happiness more than I'm chasing even revenue. And I think I'm an entrepreneur. I mean, I know that you hear the story, right? Colonel Sanders didn't start Kentucky Fried Chicken until he was 62, 63 years old.
Yeah, something like that.
But like the internet, X, LinkedIn, you get these fantasies in your head that everybody who's made it is 26 years old. And every solopreneur that's made it is, they're worth millions, and nobody ever has any issues. And, I actually think I'm the norm. I actually think that the, 40 to 60-year-old grinder is more common than the 20-some-year-old mega millionaire that's cashed out or has a holdco. So I, in a lot of ways, often do these to share my journey, which has been anything but a straight line. It's been incredibly, actually, it was straight up and then straight down to the bottom at Yeah, I've been literally 39. I'm thinking 39 years old. My wife had restricted me from taking out the last mortgage on
Oh
our primary
man.
residence. I'd have been completely bankrupt at 39 years old after having nothing but 12 years of success and being on the verge of I wouldn't say retirement, but definitely in a comfortable spot from
Yeah.
having success. But that's that since then it's been that upward trajectory again.
Yeah.
But
What was
definitely not straight.
what was that first thing that you had some success with?
Yeah, I mean, I was successful. So defining success, if you define success as
Well, I'm saying like that where you said you had some money and it was like, okay, yeah, like I think I can do this again.
I don't define it as money. I mean, I define it as when I was in college, I got a job as the radio producer engineer for the UNLV basketball team that had Larry Johnson and Stacey Augmon and was those iconic classic teams, and traveled with the team as a freshman and sophomore in college. As one of my first things I ever did in college. So from that, I mean, I definitely was exposed to big time people and stars and celebrities and
that's success.
Car rides with Dick Vitale and Tommy Packer and like big time guys like that you would Billy Packer, excuse me, that you would never think that I would be hanging around. And then right out of college, I got a job as a sports talk show host in my hometown of Philadelphia on the #1 rated sports talk show station in the country, not the city, the country, right? So I didn't go to the middle of Iowa and grind it out on a morning show. I got a job working at the #1 station in the country right out of college. So I wasn't making any money, but definitely, I feel like that was successful.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
And then when I decided that I was actually going to take a route to make more money, I created a business by identifying a gap at a place, golf course specifically, that I worked, and had an idea to create a special event to the PGA Tour for Jim Furyk, who at the time was a budding superstar, and eventually became he held the second rank in the world next to Tiger for I think 100 weeks at one point in the 90s. So I created a special event to the PGA Tour and sold that business, and that was my first what I would consider to be financial success. But again, that all started. I wasn't afraid to cold call Jim Furyk's agent and propose an idea because at 19 years old, I was traveling and dining and
you had the confidence built up.
The world with big time guys that I was exposed to through my experience at UNLV.
Yeah. So that was kind of like you had that success even at a young age doing these amazing things. You start this business. What was that one? So what was the downfall of that, I guess? Because you mentioned earlier, you said, hey, well, I was going to mortgage the house.
Very simple. Very simple.
And so what was that? What was that moment there?
So in 2001, I sell the business I was in with Furyk. It lasted another 6 years. It was a special event. And, kudos to Jim. He did an amazing job, raised a ton of money for charity, and is an awesome dude. I went to be part of the startup and founding team of Marquis Jet, which was an amazing entrepreneurial success story. We went from zero to just under $1 billion in 4.5 years. Mm-hmm. And through that experience, and I'm on the front line selling every day. I have the clients you can imagine are the who's who that are flying private jets. Private jets at the time were famous, but not like they are now, where they're like...
Yeah. There wasn't Instagram back then.
Right. Pretty much that's true, right? I mean, Facebook was just being launched. And so having had that success in 2006, I decided that after 4.5 years, I was ready to go out on my own and be the boss again, because I had already tasted that. Well, unfortunately, I had this incredible dose of ego injected into me, because think about it, you go on a run
Yeah, you got the Midas touch, dude. Everything you touch is going to gold.
Yeah, correct. And '08 hit, the financial crisis, and I certainly wasn't good enough to manage through it. And in that business that I created in the villa rental space, so I went from private jets to villa rentals. I was not good enough to manage through that crisis. Probably could have if I were better, but looking, again, this is all hindsight, looking back at it. Like, one of the things
of course,
is super important as an entrepreneur is to just be reflective on your own wins and losses. So that was a loss. And, it's a loss at 39 with a 10, 8, and 4-year-old.
Okay, yeah.
So hard stuff. And forced to really face a reckoning of where do you go after you've had nothing but success in your, forget career, my life. Everything I had done to that point, I was just on the rise. And then all of a sudden it comes crashing down and you're at the bottom.
Yeah.
And
so then what was that first thing that you said, all right, I got another idea. Let me mortgage the house. And your wife's like, no. Chill out.
Well, I mean, again, that was the villa rental company and she didn't.
Okay.
So when that closes, right? I was actually very fortunate. A friend called me. I'm a golfer. And he said, hey, he goes, I'm in between managers at this golf club. It's 15 minutes from my house. He goes, would you mind stepping in and just being the GM or, the managing partner of the golf course, for the season? And I said, yeah, that sounds like fun. I was making no money doing it. I mean, enough to barely survive, but definitely felt tons of financial pressure because I had just, had financial pressure and had the 3 kids at the time. My wife wasn't working and I had gone through my savings. So I stepped in and I ran a golf course for 6 months, and it was a terrific opportunity for me to clear my head, play golf every day, get my handicap down, which definitely happened. And then also regain some confidence. So I hired a pro who was, and to this day, the best hire I ever made in any business. Okay. And the reason he was the best hire is because while I was at the club, it was definitely a turnaround job and we needed to raise revenues. So I didn't have to ask my buddy to fund payroll, which I'm not really interested in doing at 40 years old. So he would have, but I didn't want to have to ask him that. And so basically what I did was I implemented half a dozen new marketing strategies without spending money, mostly without spending monies, and bang bodies inside the community. I had come from the golf world early before the Furyk event, so I had some ideas as to what to do. And then the number one thing I did was, again, I'm the boss. Nobody on site is higher than me, is I started working the bag drop. So when the people would drive up to the golf course on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, which was our obviously busiest days, I was the one taking their bags out of their cart. Me. So here I am taking the bags out of the cart, and they're like, you're the boss? Yeah, I'm the boss. And, it was a semi-private course. We had members, but mostly daily fee. And, it turns out that, interacting with your clients on a one-to-one basis like that makes for them having a more human and personal experience, right? So when play is a little slow and you go out there and you talk to them, you could smooth it over. You go to the bar and out of the blue, you buy everybody around just because guy's on the TV and you're watching golf and the bar's filled and it's 10-foot putt. And you say, if he makes it, we're buying around on the house, right? and, he misses it and we're buying it anyway. That creates
Yeah.
loyalty.
Energy, excitement, loyalty. Yeah.
Yes. So I rebuilt my confidence because I watched revenues grow. We never had to ask for any money. And then from my villa rental experience, I got a call out of the blue from a guy that I had known through, again, networking and being out there in the market, who said that there was a villa company that was having some distressed times and needed my assistance. And they were down in Newport, Rhode Island. So I went down and met with the owner. It ended up being Wimco Villas, the number one villa rental company on the island of St. Barts. They had about a 90% market share when I stepped in. The problem they had stemmed from the '08 financial crisis. The revenues got cut. The revenues got cut in half. They had a partner on the island that handled the contracts, because it's a French province, with the owners of the villas and all of the on-island service. The company in the U.S., which I was became part of, handled all of the reservations. I won't get into the reasons that this happened, but essentially the on-island company said, we're done being 50-50 partners with you, and we have the contracts with the owners, so they're our customers too. We're going to take 75% of the share. You're going to take 25%. Well, the revenues had been cut by half. So getting the income cut by another half doesn't work. So the owner of the company brought me in and basically said, we need to negotiate and make sure that this doesn't happen. Well, it turned out there was no negotiating. So we had to deploy option B. And option B was taking the business model on the island of St. Barts. Anybody who goes on Airbnb and VRBO or books a villa inside of St. Barts to this day can thank me.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Because what we had to do was we had to break the exclusivity model with an on-island provider in St. Barts. And the way we did it is we built a new company called Wimco SBH that was a French company because it had to be.
Right.
And I went down to the island for 2 years and signed up villa rental owners to break the exclusivity they had with the former on-island partner and accept bookings from anybody who would offer them bookings. And
nice. Look at you. The shark.
Well, I just wasn't, I just didn't have the emotion that the two people who had been working together for 30 years had invested. And the villa owners only really wanted villa bookings. So again, this is like Airbnb had just started, VRBO had really just started. They were not what they are today. And you couldn't find a villa anywhere on St. Barts other than one location because they had exclusive mandats, is what they were called, French for contract. They had these exclusive mandats, and I had to say, like, we're going to send you bookings because these customers are loyal to the reservations agents that handle your trip for the last 10 years. But if you're exclusive with this company, then you. So that was a function that I had to go down there and do. Because I was in somewhat of a distress, so I'm just giving you my life story, but because I was in somewhat of a distressed state when I had started with the company, I had a handshake agreement. Don't ever have handshake agreements. To essentially buy the company at the fair market value of the company when the owner was through this disastrous period.
You're the pivot king, though, so you made it great, and now they don't want to sell. They got all the money coming in. Jay's doing his job. Oh, it's just a handshake agreement. Oh, man.
Yeah, so that's what happened. I was given a number. The owner had thought that I would never be able to raise the money. I raised it in 30 days. And he had backed out of it I came home, I told my wife that this is over. We had a rough patch for about 3 or 4 years after that, he and I, which is unusual for me because I don't leave anything. I put my toys away nicely. I don't leave anything. I don't leave, things get weird because you make them weird type of deal. So I try not to do that. And, I left the company and, started on the venture that I'm into now, and never really looked back. Eventually they became one of my biggest clients, and we became dear friends again because we were close. We went to battle together.
I mean, so the message there really is like, don't burn your bridges, right? Because you could have been like, well, screw you, this is messed up, and burn that bridge. But because you didn't, and you kind of took the high road, it became an opportunity down the road.
When I told him I was leaving the company, he told me I was giving him my 2 weeks notice. He told me I was too high level to give 2 weeks notice and that he needed at least 2 months. We settled on 6 weeks. So for 6 weeks, I worked. I worked to unwind my responsibilities and pass them off to other folks. And again, we had a rough patch for a few years, but I didn't ever really consider the bridge burned. But I was hurt. We had an agreement. Mm-hmm. He didn't honor it. And that to me, that's not how you do things. So
yeah.
I
think that's good. I think that's the right thing to do. And it goes to show that, because you didn't lose your cool and because you took the high road, it paid off. And again, I think it comes down to the thing as well as you're going to have things that happen to you in life that aren't fair. And you're going to have things in life that happen to you that hurt. But at the end of the day, it's how you respond to them and then how you allow them to control your emotions or, take you down that will really determine if you're successful or not, And so, listen, you took this business from 0 to 1. You got the ink company you started, you took from 0 to 1. So, what's the playbook look like? Now you've done this a few times. What does that look like to take something from 0 to 1?
Yeah, the playbook to go to from 0 to 1 is the easiest, in my view. It's the easiest part of the business, yet the one that gives people the biggest issue.
Yeah.
All right. If you have an idea, just start taking action against the idea. So just looking back in my history, I started a special event to the PGA Tour. The concept for the event was a skins game with 4 of the world's best golfers. To get 4 of the world's best golfers to play in a skins game, what do you need? 4 golfers. Yeah, right. Yeah. So how do you get golfers? You get golfers by talking to their agents. Well, you got to call their agents. So you call their agents and you tell them, here's what I'm going to do. Are you interested, or is one of your clients interested? Until somebody says, yeah, they might be. Why don't we talk about that face to face? Which back in 1997, 96, 97 is what you did. Yeah. 97 is what you did, right? 28 years ago. So there's nothing difficult about that conceptually, right?
Right. Yeah. Pick up the phone.
But you got to do.
Take the action.
But you got to take the action. What is the idea? What do you need to fulfill the idea? And go. So we're not talking about complex things, right?
Right.
And I think people get caught up with that they need to be either buttoned up or they need you don't need anything. You need an idea, and you either need a customer or the product. And don't go too far down the product lane unless you have a customer, because the product is going to evolve, morph, change, pivot, edit, be different than you originally present and pitch. So number one is you have a client. And in the case of, by the way, in the case of the golf event, I had a prospective client. I had a company that was willing to be the title sponsor. They had given me a ballpark range of what they were willing to put up. I sort of had it in my mind. I had the idea, and then I started to take action against that idea. And whatever the idea is, just write down three to four things that could potentially move the idea forward and take action against those 3 to 4 things. Not difficult at all. You want to open a retail store? You know what you need to open a retail store?
A store?
Yes. So you know what I would do if I was going to open, and I did open a retail store. Ink Stores started in a retail store. The first thing I did was I identified retail locations in which we could have the store and who the landlords were, and then called them. I mean, that's just not a difficult concept, Mark. But yet people get held up on it because they say, well, I don't know what my retail store's concept is going to be, and I don't have a design for the retail store, and I don't have wholesale accounts.
Right. Yeah. It's like you're worrying about all this stuff that doesn't exist when you just need to take that first action and then we'll start worrying about that stuff.
And 99% of the people you're going to call, like you think like, oh, they're going to laugh at me if I'm not more developed. It's like, no, they're looking for their next opportunity as well. They don't know that. I mean, they don't know that you're not going to create the next LL Bean or the next Soul Cycle or, you know, a shop
Inked?
that ends up. Inked moved out of the retail space, so I was actually looking for someone who takes more. How about this? Crumble.
Yeah.
Crumble's got 500, 600, 700 locations. They started with one in Logan, Utah. I mean, how do you know when they went to expand to 2, when they went to expand to 5, when they went to expand to new cities, right? They weren't Annie Ann's, right?
Right.
So, you know, the concept of I'm not there yet only exists in your mind. Like,
so
everyone has a start. Everyone. You look at all these success stories, they all had, I mean, Chick-fil-A is a juggernaut now. They were a mall shop.
Yes, yeah, one shop at a mall.
For like 35 years. Arby's almost shut down. I mean, all these, like, I'm using food, but all, like, there are so many stories of places that didn't make it, or, you know, their expansion stories that you just can't get caught up in. Again, we're talking about stores, but you can't get caught up in whatever the idea is. Pick an item, 2 or 3, and take action against one, and then take action against the other thing, and then take act. So it's just, I am a strong believer in doers make it and taking action. And if you don't know what that action is, you know, ask ChatGPT. I mean, you have the
now you do, yeah.
Yeah, I want to start I want to start a SaaS company that fixes the problem of X, Y, and Z. Where do I start? It'll tell you where to start. But now you've got to do it. And if you don't do it, that's on you.
Yeah. So what would you say that first like 3 moves you would tell every new founder to kind of make? So one is like take action, like have the idea, move on it. And then what are the next 2 steps that we need to focus on?
Well, don't spend money, right? I mean, you got to hoard cash. I think I made some big mistakes when I was younger. I think that I thought like it was everybody like, I'm going to get an LLC or I'm going to form the corporation, right? It's like, well, how about you get a customer before you form the corporation? Like you're going to spend a couple $1,000s in paperwork. Like, why don't you have somebody, like, go out and find somebody who will say yes, right? So it's take action. And it's, I would, I would definitely not spend money. I mean, that's definitely number two. And I mean, that sounds crazy. Some businesses you have to spend money, but
Yeah.
how many people do you know that have actually created a tool and went out and made a physical product, right? And then not had a sale? Do you know anybody who's ever been in that spot?
Oh, I mean, yeah.
Not a good spot. Not a good spot to be in, right? They probably had
No.
I'll tell you this. I'd rather tell somebody it's coming in 90 days and have the order then turn the order on, rather than make something and hope that somebody out there is going to buy it. Because, there's a big delineation between the way people talk online and the way they reach for their wallet. So, right, like I see this in my business, especially in the custom t-shirts world with influencers, where influencers would be like, I have 100,000 followers on Instagram. I know I can sell at least 500 shirts, right? And they order 500 shirts and then they sell 4. So that happens all the time. That's not a once in a while thing. I tend to back people off that, and that's through experience, because that's not a very good selling experience either. So I just go cash conservative is a big tip that I would also give entrepreneurs. And then, I'm not sure what 3 would be. I'd have to think about it. It's I talk to customers.
Well,
I mean,
yeah. How did you, when you first started Inked, what was the scaling process? How fast did it scale to, a $5 million business?
I mean, slow. It took us 3.5, 4 years until we were in the million space. So we didn't cross $1 million until 4 years into the business.
And that's
just so much to
I
learn.
feel like that's always the hard nut to crack, is that first million, It's you get so close to it, but just to go to the next level. But then once you go to the next level, then you have more problems.
I used to say if we could ever do 2 million in business, everything would be great. I promise you, everything's not great. Yeah, it's like it's a constant iteration and evolution. Maybe that's 3, right? So 1 is take action, and 2 is become cash conservative, and 3 would be don't be afraid to iterate on the product. You have to talk to customers or potential customers. Friends are fine, but buyers are better. And if somebody's not willing to give you money for something, like the old adage says, advice, free advice is as good as what you paid for it.
Yeah.
And that's really true. It's not to say that you shouldn't seek counsel. You should. But when people don't have skin in the game and they don't have any risk is the wrong word, but they don't have any consequences to the actions you're going to take, then it's very difficult to take what they're going to advise you on under anything other than advisement. So definitely something to consider as you launch. But scaling is slow. It also happens to be not a skill of mine. I'm a great 0 to 1 guy. I struggle 1+ to get to that next level: systems orientation and operations.
Yeah.
The biggest change that I've.
Yeah. What would you say? I when I think about kind of where you're at, how was the business a lifestyle business to begin? Like, hey, I need to do something to generate income for my family, and I'm going to start doing this idea, and it's just providing for me and get to hire some people. Like, what was the idea? Was it like, I want to grow it to a certain level and then exit and sell this thing, or what?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I ever think in terms of sell. I think in terms of grow a business, and run a quality business and scale, right? But it's funny how life works. Where I think thinking in life changed was I hired a French woman who, she was definitely not one of the younger folks that I typically would have hired. And she was in between jobs and in doing some things in her name was La Flèche. And I'm very fond of her because she was very honest with me and helped me immensely. And a lot of the jobs that I hired for were definitely labor filled, right? So like unpacking boxes, counting inventory, printing t-shirts, embroidering products, like really hands-on shipping products. Like we have to touch things that we do.
Right.
And I was having an issue with one of my employees that was putting the orders in to our partners to, order the inventory that we needed. And LaFleche kind of came to me and she said, Jay, she said, the problem with what you're doing is that you're hiring people in position, you're hiring people and expecting them to mold their skills into the roles you need. When what you need to do is find people who fill the roles you need and already think like someone who can do the job you need done. So what happened was I was hiring mostly designers right out of college.
Yeah. They're affordable.
And I was affordable.
They'll work late,
Yes.
Work hard.
But I had to slip some of them into more operational roles. Well, operational roles aren't best fulfilled by people who are design-minded.
Right. They're creative. They're all over the place, It's not a good fit.
It would seem logical, right? You hire a salesperson to be a salesperson. You hire a designer to be a designer. But you hire a designer to print. That works, right? They're artists.
Right.
You don't put designers in operational roles. So I don't know why I needed to learn that lesson when I learned it. Again, this was sort of all new to me, but she so clearly saw it and I didn't. And ever since that time, I went out, I hired a guy who had been with FedEx for 8 years. All he does is think about logistics and shipping and operations. And, I hit the forward button 10 times a day to him and never think about it and never think about a thing. And not really 10 times or else I wouldn't have a business, but not really think about the issues or challenges that we have because he's calm, cool, and collected, thinks in terms of operations, knows how to deal with the staff and team, and knows how to run things to get to from start to finish and completion. And lets me focus on the business side of the business. And so that has taken us on an upward trajectory that we're on now. And hopefully that number that you keep ballying about is one that's in our past and one we drive right through, which I think we're going to do this year. So
that's awesome. That's so great. Yeah, it is important to get the right people in the right seats, right, on the bus. And then the other thing I've been thinking about lately, even with my own business, right, is getting the team motivated and getting them to kind of see the same vision that you have. And so that even in their roles, they're thinking about how they can do their job better, or they're thinking about how they can, help generate more revenue for the company, or how they can help the company be more efficient, or, hey, I see that we have this particular system and process, like, let's document that, just trying to get more buy-in from, especially when you're a small team, you kind of want everybody to participate and be involved.
Yeah, it's definitely true, especially in this business. I think you get eaten alive if the people who work for you aren't caring and considerate. I mean, you have 100 t-shirt order. You're not making 100 t-shirts. You're making one t-shirt 100 times because each one goes to an individual. So you have to think like that, right? If the t-shirt that I send you is misprinted,
right.
It's 100% miss to you, Mark. So it's unwearable. So, you really have to, I hate to say we have to be like airline pilots, but we have to be pretty close.
Yeah. Oh, how did you decide to get into the merch business? Did you do a bunch of analytics and, see where markets were expanding and growing, and you're like, all right, we're going to do this?
My partner from the private jet business asked me to run a company for him that involved embroidery, screen printing, and all forms of decoration. And it was a retail product that wasn't necessarily successful or didn't sell as fast as we had wanted. It was fitness equipment. And from there, we pivoted to a broader, we went from being a manufacturer to being a distributor. And we now morph, because of our capabilities to manufacture, we're now a manufacturer distributor. So when you come to us, we actually screen print, embroider, and do other forms of decoration in-house and control that timing and quality because of our history. But yeah, again, this was a pivot. Surprise, surprise. And we moved until we found the right market fit for us, which we have.
Yeah. And that's awesome. Well, hey, listen, I've really enjoyed this conversation. Thank you for hanging out with me and sharing your journey and story. And I think we've learned a lot from you. And some of my key takeaways, I would say, are just the idea of showing up and working. That's a common theme that I just feel like I hammer home, because one is I have teenage kids. And so I'm always telling them, like, listen, if you just show up on time and work hard, you will be successful in everything that you do. Like, that's it. That's all you got to do. Because I know in my own life, I didn't go to college. I have no formal education, but I just showed up. I was positive and I worked hard, and things just happened for me, and so I think that's really important. And then I love the idea of not burning any bridges, that sometimes in life you might have some difficult things that come up and you might have relationships that get strained, but whatever you can do to make things right or keep things positive and take the high road, that you never know down the road how that can turn around and come back and help you succeed. So Jay, if people wanted to connect with you and buy some merch from you, where's the best place to go?
Email's always good, jay@inkedstores, INKDSTORES.com. And then the other place is LinkedIn. I post twice a day. DM's always open, so.
Look at you, the content king over here.
I have a lot on my mind.
That's good. And you got a place to send stuff. If you were to give an advice to our listeners, if you were to say, hey, starting next week, just do this one thing, this one Friday habit to carry into your weekend to help you start your foot off on the right place next week, what would that be? What would the advice be?
I've already told you what I would do, which is take action against that one idea. But if I'm talking about a habit that I want to build, I would make one difficult phone call to somebody who we know from our past every week. Just one. Just pick somebody who's in your LinkedIn that you haven't talked to or caught up with in a long time, or in your email that you haven't caught up with in a long time, or a customer, client. Just one phone call. And don't ask them for anything. Just, here I am. It's a practice I do today. I am constantly going back into my world and network and give without any expectations of receiving. It's a great habit to form.
Yeah, that's great. Fantastic. All right, guys, thank you for listening to The Friday Habit. If you go to thefridayhabit.com, you can find show notes for this episode and ways to get in touch. Bottom of the page, you can download our guide to the Friday Habit system. It's going to show you how to set aside one day each week to dedicate working on your business instead of always in your business. You can hit us up at hello@thefridayhabit.com. And until next time, live every day like it's Friday.